Many new clients approach us with the question, we've heard about mediation, we know about mediation, we think it sounds like quite a nice thing, but what actually happens in a mediation? What are the processes? What is the stuff that goes on that makes mediation the success that we understand it to be? And let me take you through that process in this clip. Let's start by understanding that no mediation can take place in any manner at all unless the parties to the mediation are in agreement that they're willing to give it a go. We understand that not always the parties are happy and eager to leap into it, simply because their space arises from conflict, where dealing with the other party is difficult, it is tense. So normally, or very often, we find that the parties are willing to give it a go, willing to give it a shot, and sometimes a little bit wary about what the implications are. And some of those implications are important to understand before I take you through the actual step-by-step process. And that is that we've already expressed it must be completely voluntary, you must be willing to give it a go. The second issue is that the process is owned by the parties, not by the mediator, not by the organization. Once there's agreement to go into the mediation, the two parties, or the various parties, if there are more than two, have complete control over what happens and how it happens and what comes out. And for this reason, it is very important that the process happens in a non-prejudicial way. In other words, anything that gets said or done within the confines of that mediation, stay right there. The mediator doesn't make suggestions. He allows the parties to deal with the issues that are important to them in the manner that is important to them. The mediator's job in that process is to help them to express themselves in such a way that the parties can connect up and they can embrace the issues that are being brought to that particular table. The process itself, fairly simple actually. The consultant or the facilitator, the mediator who has been put in charge of the process or put there to coordinate the process, will approach the parties initially just to ensure that they're happy to go ahead and to explain some of the finer detail about what they're going to face and how it can unfold. Once the parties are happy with that, we take the next step, which is to go into effectively a three-part process where we have a first meeting and then we have a second meeting, and both of which are individualized, and then a third engagement, which is what we refer to as a joint meeting, at which time we are hoping we can get the parties to understand, have insight into, and to look constructively at some point towards reaching some kind of consensus. So let's go into the first part, which is meeting number one, where an individual meeting is held and the party is given the opportunity to express everything that has brought the situation to where it is, the conflict to the space that it's in. And the facilitator works with the individual to ensure that everything that needs to be said from the individual's perspective is out in the open and is down on the table, ready for discussion. At the end of that meeting, the facilitator will request the individual to create a statement or to write up, effectively, articulate in writing the issues that have been raised, and to be sure that they are comprehensive and in toto they cover the whole ground that needs to be covered. We certainly don't want to have a situation where agreement is reached on the expedient or easier points, but that any one of the parties leaves something out and then regrets after the agreement has been reached that they haven't put everything onto the table. Meeting one is designed to achieve that goal. Excuse me. Meeting two is the opportunity, again individually, for the parties to meet with the facilitator and work through the statement that they've made, with the view to understanding how that statement might impact on the other party, and to have a double take on ensuring that the parties remain voluntary and that everything that needs to be said is now articulated and ready for discussion. And that would normally take the parties into meeting number three, which is the joint meeting. In the joint meeting, the parties are given a free time to express what they've articulated in terms of their statement, the words that they've now written down to summarize their space. And once that has been done, the facilitator will take the parties through a process of jointly working through what has been said, how it's been said, trying to understand and acknowledge the spaces that have been created. And if the system works well, which, as we have seen in over 93% of our cases, it does, they are able to reach agreement and articulate that agreement, and then the parties move on from there. Very importantly, we do appreciate and understand that what happens inside the mediation, which is a safe place and a place where things can be said without fearing any kind of repercussion or any kind of kickback, any kind of prejudicial space that might arise. Once you're out in the real world, the things sometimes are a bit different. They're a bit harder to keep together. And at TCM, we make a point of ensuring that after the physical process of a mediation, our mediators will spend up to a year working with the parties, just checking in to ensure that what was created in the safe mediation place has a sustainable way forward through the 12 months that then go after the agreement has been reached. So effectively, what happens in a mediation? We check that you're okay to go ahead. We work with you to make sure that everything needs to be said. We facilitate the process of engaging with the parties. We facilitate the process of reaching some kind of consensus about how to go forward through an agreement. And then we work with the agreement with you guys for a good 12 months after the agreement has been reached.